Hello. Hey guys. Hey girls. Hey. 90 Day The Last Resort. We're finally finishing up, you guys, here at the Melanated Way. I'm Linda. That's April. We are covering Season 2, episode 21 and 22, part 4 and 5 of the Tell-All. We've been away for a couple of weeks. We've missed you guys. Thank you for hanging in with us. I had a week where I couldn't make it. April was traveling. April, how were your travels? Because I was following along and you looked amazing. Looked like you had great food, great fun. Tell us a little bit about it.
Guys, I went to Uzbekistan. It's been a dream for me to go there because I'm really into architecture. And also, it's just like really interesting because it is Great Silk Road. It is the fall of the USSR. It is Tamerlane's empire. All of those things that we learn kind of abstractly, at least for me, like I felt like it was a very abstract education that I received in that part of the world. And so being able to actually like put your finger to it and put a face to it is really cool. The people over there have a very interesting look because they're part like Chinese Mongolian, but also Middle Eastern. They have a very interesting look.
And how long were you there?
Just 2 weeks.
Oh, just 2 weeks. I was just there 2 weeks.
It's a pretty cheap trip, you know, as far as going to that part of the world. But you can come see me on TikTok to talk about cheap travels.
Jocelyn has a question for you, April.
Where is Uzbekistan? It is, I'm going to tell you where it is and you're still not going to know. It's above Turkmenistan and below Tajikistan. It's very near China. And it used to be a part of the USSR. And I had like a really cool experience because 3 of the people in my tour group are Russian Jews who used to live in Uzbekistan when it was a part of the USSR. And it was their first time coming back to the country since they originally fled to Israel and then came to the US for safety.
That's a great little story.
Yeah,
definitely follow Abby on TikTok. She has all of her travel journeys listed there, you guys. I want to tell you a story what happened with me. So I wasn't traveling. I will be traveling next week then. We'll talk about that later. But I went out with a friend of mine and we have a restaurant that's our spot. It's been our spot since we became friends. We've been friends for over 10 years now. And we meet there because we've had a lot of like milestones in our lives, all of that stuff. We're like having a glass of wine, Abby, catching up because it's been a minute because we living life. And next to us is this guy from Florida. Handsome enough. He's with his girlfriend, so we think, right? Because they're doing girlfriend stuff. We start engaging with them and talking, blah, blah, blah. And we have the certain things that we always order, and he's a regular there too, and certain things that he regularly orders, and he's telling us his favorite stuff. Fine. He has his date with his girlfriend, Abby, and then we're there for because, we're having the whole night. We're there for a long time. He walks his girlfriend out, Abby, sits down and engages us, and we're already rolling our eyes because we're like, oh, are you doing that whole now your girlfriend's left talking? No.
Mm-hmm.
He was engaging us. He ordered his favorite pizza and sent it over to our table because he really needed us to try what he thought was the best food on the menu. Fine, that's great. Thank you so much. But then, y'all, oh, your teeth are looking gorgeous. Everyone keeps saying that. Thanks. It must be. It's
true.
It's Arm & Hammer toothpaste, and from Temu, I bought this whitening. It's it looks like baking soda.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm using. Anyways, He's sitting there, Abby, and 15 minutes later, he's looking at his phone, and he walks out, and we're like, oh, bye. He's like, oh, no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to go meet my ex-girlfriend.
What a loser.
This fool saved his table, his favorite spot, and was rotating women in and out. And I thought, see, this is why dating is so terrible. It's so terrible. It's so terrible, Abby. I was so mad. I want to tell the ex-girlfriend, like, that's why someone said to me today, that's why you don't go back and play in the mud, because you will get dirty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, men are just awful. Did you see what I was complaining about today on Instagram? I go out to eat by myself all the time. And I went out to eat by myself this week, and this guy was trying to neg me, but it went right over my head because I'm so oblivious to men trying to be mean to me at this day and age. But I was trying to decide. I went to one of these places where you have to order your 4 courses all at one time. And so I'm trying to decide between the dessert course, the olive oil pistachio cake, or the cheesecake. The couple beside me had the pistachio cake. And so I asked them, are you enjoying it? You know, how is it? And the guy responded, which I wasn't expecting. I thought the lady would respond, to be honest. But the guy responded and was like, oh, it's really good. But the problem is that you're alone. And so I was like, oh, is it really big? Because I didn't see it when it first came out. Is it really big? Do you need 2 people to finish it? And he was like, oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's just that you're alone. So I did not know what he was talking about. So I just excused myself out of the conversation, like whatever they're talking about. And when my server came, I placed my order and I got both desserts because I couldn't decide between the 2 of them. And only when I ordered both desserts and I saw his face did I realize, oh, he was trying to make me feel bad for being alone.
Terrible.
He was trying to neg me.
Terrible.
And so when I ordered both desserts, completely oblivious to the fact that he's trying to make me feel bad, it hurt his face. No, let me see if I could do it. Here I am. Oh, I'm going to get the cheesecake and the pistachio cake because I can't decide.
I don't get it. You guys, I don't get it. Like, y'all, I'm trying to find my husband, but it's crazy out there. I won't online date. I'm trying to figure it out. I do have something going on right now, but like, it's long distance. So like, that's a whole other story, but we'll get to it. Hey, Raydella. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey. I don't have any advice. Good luck out there. At this point, I just plan everything by myself. I travel by myself. I eat by myself. If somebody ends up joining along, I mean, that would be great. I would welcome it, especially if they want to help me pay my bills. But I'm so far into just do whatever I want to do to make myself happy that I don't even know if I could reverse course at this point.
And you know what, April? Listen, first of all, I'm trying to do Abby. I literally look.
You're doing good.
Look.
You are doing good.
Look, though, it's in my notes on every page. Okay.
Yes.
If you guys, anyone, I love being alone, Jocelyn said. Okay, so I am going to be completely honest with you guys. I want to find my husband and have like a quick kid real quick. So if you guys know anyone and or have any advice, let me know. I won't online date though. And I have a few standards, as you guys know. And I have some conversations that we have to obviously have, as you guys know. Mm-hmm. That being said, let's get into the last resort. Yes. Finish this up because we want to jump into 90 days. There's so much stuff that's happening in 90 days and we're behind and I don't want to be behind anymore. So Josh and Natalie's emotional. Josh is being Josh, gaslighting, narcissist, all the things. Called Natalie a scammer and literally says, please just shut up to her. And in African culture, specifically Ghanaian culture, when you tell someone to shut up, it's really disrespectful. It's basically saying that you want that person to die. And so I was just so offended because here's the thing. A, she made you famous. B, you used her to be on TV. C, you've been gaslighting her the whole time, saying that you're not in a relationship. You've never been in a relationship with her. You never took her seriously. But meanwhile, you're so serious that you need to be on a couples resort. Like, it literally is a couples resort. I'm so over that. And then we talk about Josh and Sophie and how he slid into her DMs. And we find out in episode 4 of The Tell-All or part 4, I should say, that it's not the first time that he slid in. So when he was asking her to go to Vegas, that wasn't the first time. He was sliding into her DMs multiple times. Anytime she was posting, he would like comment on her post and be like, sheesh, or fire, or heart emoji. And here's the thing, y'all. I don't know how many of you guys have men sliding into your DMs, but I will tell you this, it's the same stuff. And I saw something on Instagram that made me laugh. So a lot of guys, because, you know, they're in situations, they're married, they're in relationships, they will comment you on how beautiful you are on your own post, right? So they'll send you your own post and comment on it or put like a heart emoji, but they won't put it in the comments that everyone can see. And so on Instagram, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically it said, if you're going to comment on my post, say it with your chest and do it in the comments and not in my DMs. And that's how I feel about Josh. Josh is trying to be Slick Rick. He's trying to get with his best friend's girl, not even just girl, wife. Okay. And yeah, they say they didn't know each other back then, all of that stuff. But you know, that Rob was married to the woman that you're trying to freak on. And I'm saying that purposely because of what's going on right now. I'm not impressed. What are your thoughts, Abby?
So I had a couple of thoughts. One being, this is really, really brazen of Josh to be speaking to anybody that way. I don't think that he's presented himself as a person who's deserving of respect to talk to somebody that way. You know, like that was really low. Even lower than I expected from somebody like him. Other thing that I was thinking when all of this was going on is that it is really, really rich that somebody like Rob, who's got all this heat for Jasmine, has nothing to say about the way that Josh is behaving.
Yeah. But I found like all the guys, I feel like they put common sense out the window and they just really were like, oh, we're going to all rally behind each other no matter what is being said. That's the vibe I got. Joslo and Raydella, you know, I've been home quite often every month and we'll see. I mean, I feel like I'm being too open today. I did meet someone, but he ended up ghosting me. So there's that. So we'll see. Let me know. Keep it coming. I love all I love all of the feedback because I need it. So that being said, Sean asked, you know, how are you and Josh, meaning Rob and Josh, good friends? Because literally he was being disrespectful to you, don't you think? And Josh explained it away like I didn't know him back then. And yeah, I was testing the waters because he was single. And I was like, you were single or were you dating Natalie for the last 3 years? I'm a bit confused because to me that sounds like gaslighting Natalie. That sounds like you're stringing Natalie along. So, like, if you're single, say you're single. And again, don't be on a couple's resort.
Exactly. It is so useless for him to say, I was single, but you were on the show with Natalie.
That you said that you were with her for the last 3 years.
Yeah. Very, very. And even if he really was single, even if him and Natalie were really over, I still wouldn't think it was appropriate in the degrees of separation for him to be trying to chat up Sophie.
Facts. Your bestie, 90-day bad boys wife? Because they're not divorced yet. So, like,
right.
What?
That indicates to me not having, and he said I was testing the water. So that means you had no respect for the sanctity of marriage as well.
That part.
Right. You've got all this heat for Matt. We'll get to later on, but you didn't respect marriage either.
That part. And then also remember the last time we were here, Abby, we found out that he has multiple baby mamas. So
right.
That's a stilo.
Right. Clearly. And he didn't let us know that on purpose.
Exactly. So Josh calls Natalie a liar. And Natalie, so here's the thing. So I want to stick up for Natalie, Abby, but at the same time, in this tell-all, she comes across to me as a mean girl. The way that she's talking BS about Josh, about Sophie, about Julia, about smiling in Sophie's face, and then literally going behind her back and like tapping Josh on the back, tapping Rob on the back. I just think it's like mean girl behavior. And that's part of the reason why it's hard for women to be friends. You know, someone told me that if women stay friends for 7 years or more, they're going to be friends for a lifetime. But most women don't stay friends for more than a couple of years. And it's because of this type of behavior. How do you have a friend that's smiling in your face, saying all the things, but then talking crazy behind your back?
Right. I won't issue any defense for Natalie. I will say that she had one good moment, I think, during the episode where she showed some maturity. But apart from that, she's shown a lot, way too much insecurity, way too much immaturity. And why does she target so much of her hatred and misbehavior towards Sophie? I mean, she does it for some of the other ladies as well, but a lot of it goes to Sophie.
Right. And I know that you mentioned before that there might be some, you know, racist behavior behind it.
I think that there might be. Of course, I can't know for sure. And maybe it's not even like completely, maybe she doesn't even know she's doing it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's completely subconscious why she's doing it.
No, because remember during the resort, she talked about being bullied and then that her first response is to bully people back. So I know that she knows that she's bullying and I know that she knows it's wrong, but she can't help it because she has those insecurities and childhood traumas that she hasn't dealt with. So she then inflicts pain on others. Specifically Sophie, that I don't know exactly what it is, but I do know that when she feels threatened because there are other beautiful women, she attacks. And we're going to get to Jen in a moment, but she feels Jen is beautiful. And I think that she feels like Jen is more beautiful than her. And she's trying to act like she was taking the high road, but you could see the insecurity, the sadness, the madness all through her face. And I think she knew she met her match. I think she knew that she couldn't talk crazy and people rally around her because Jen would take her to town. That's the vibe I got.
So in some way, she felt safe to lash out at Sophie in a way that she didn't feel safe to lash out at Jen.
Yes.
And so what I'm saying is like, whatever that is, that made her feel like I can lash out at Sophie. I wonder if she's conscious of that. Not offering her an excuse, but as an example, people are not used to seeing Black people in Uzbekistan. So I was constantly getting approached and having people ask to take my picture, or they were taking my picture without my permission. And so on one occasion, I was inside of a store and a group of students came in. They said they wanted to practice their English. And so I'm fine with that. Like, I'll speak to you. Let's do a question and answer. But every time somebody pulls a camera out, I would say, no, I don't want pictures. I don't want camera. I don't want video. And they asked me why. And I said, because you're making me feel like an animal. Why do you feel like it's okay to put a camera and picture and this in my face without asking me? Do you know that's how I'm being treated across the country during this travel? And like the look on their faces, they had not realized, oh, everybody's doing this to her. That's not really nice. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if she's conscious of why she feels like it's okay to lash out at Sophie, because I personally think it's race.
That's a good
she might not even be able to conceptualize that.
It's a good point. So as Natalie's doing all that she's doing, Ari tries standing up for Natalie, and tries to explain that the women, because they were going back and forth within each other, are focused on each other rather than focusing on the guys and the bad things that the guys did. And I did think that was a valid point that got like just passed.
Yeah.
Like, we, again, didn't address the men and their bad behavior. And again, I feel like, and I've said this multiple times, I'm going to say it again, there are missed opportunities by Sean because I don't think she actually watches the show. And this is another opportunity where we could have looked at the bad behavior. I mean, Florian is a favorite. I'll tell you, in episode 4 and 5, his behavior was terrible to me, that I was like side-eyeing him. Josh, we already know that he's like a narcissist, gaslighter. Rob was on his high horse. I know, like the last episode, I was like, "Oh, Rob made some great points. I can't believe it." But here I was like, he's being a little nasty. And also, no one is addressing the things that need to be addressed to Rob directly, because he's not denying any of the rumors. He's not denying any of the allegations. He's just lashing out. Gina lashing out. Brandon was pretty much quiet, didn't have a lot to say, but why are we not addressing the way these men are behaving? We've had the opportunity. There were 5 episodes and we didn't address any of it. And I'll tell you what, I have a lot to say, and we'll get there as well in episode 5 about the therapist, but the men and the blaming of the women, no, we're not doing that. Because if anyone, and I've seen it a lot on Reddit, and I want to address it right now, if anyone gave them tools, it was Reba, you guys. And I need you to watch from episode 1 all the way to the last tell-all to see that. I don't know if it's because she's the Black therapist and she was dealing with, intimacy, but she's the only one that gave them tools that they could walk away with. And I stand firm on that. What is it? 10 toes deep?
Yes. 10 toes deep. Yes, it's 10 toes deep now. Everybody is 10 toes deep. That's what it is now.
Oh, is that not even it?
No. No.
That's what it is right now. I'm 10 toes deep. And I'm going to stand on that. I'm standing it on, they say stand on business, all the things, all the sayings. I'm firmly in it. So I was not impressed that they were going to come for her because, again, she's the only one that gave them tools, in my opinion, that they could walk away with in this therapeutic environment. Yeah, that being said, all
right, 90 Day Fiance fan.
Natalie says no one else. She's been with no one else after Josh, which we find out was a lie because she told Rob she had a new boyfriend. Josh says he's dating. We find out it's Jen, Elizabeth and Andre's sister-in-law, and they've known each other for 7 years, seeing each other for a couple of months. They haven't been intimate yet. Yet they've been on some trips together. He really likes her. I can see that she's kind of like, I feel like she's just like, oh, whatever. If this brings me back on TV, then I'll be in it. What were your thoughts, Abby?
Jen has always been not a girl's girl. She's always been, when we've seen her on TV, cheering for her own sister. And so my perception of her and the way that she handled the conversation was, whenever something bad happens to her, she deserves it. Because you absolutely should pay attention to the way that men treat other women. I even pay attention when you go out on a date, pay attention to how the person that you're with treats the server.
100%.
Pay attention to how they treat the janitor. All of that is a reflection of how they might treat you. You can't say, oh, he left that lady high and dry, but he wouldn't do it to me. Yes, he would. Past behavior is the only thing people give you to predict their future behavior.
That's right.
That's it.
And just to jump off of or piggyback off of what Abby is saying, when you are on it, especially when it's like a first date and you don't know that person, what the other person isn't realizing is that how they're treating their server, how they're treating the valet person, how they're treating the door guy, any of that stuff is their natural reaction. And they're not going to be able to put on the persona as when they sit down and they're talking to you and they're bringing their like best foot forward. So those things are the things that you have to pay the most attention to, because that's how they really are. And that's how they're going to show up in 3 months. That's how they're going to show up in 6 months. That's how they're going to show up in a year. So pay attention, ladies, because that guy, that person is the real person.
It is. It is. And as annoying as Natalie is, she was misled about the nature of their relationship. Did she stay far too long? In my opinion, yes. But she was misled about the nature of their relationship. So for Jen to say she watched a show and said, he doesn't want you. He doesn't want you. How did you not see that he doesn't want you? What an awful thing to say. What an awful person you are, Jen.
Yeah, so she says, clearly the guy is not into you. And if she didn't know that, she's crazy. And I put Josh was gaslighting Natalie the whole time. So it's hard if someone's gaslighting you and you actually really have feelings for them. As women, we are an emotional being and we lead with that. So she was trying to find the best in that relationship because she wanted to see that relationship was going to fulfill the needs that she was looking for, right? That being said, I do think Natalie's a mean girl. And so I'm on the fence. Like, women shouldn't degrade other women, but that's on both sides. That's on Jen's side, and that's also on Natalie's side. Jen is like rubbing it in, right? What Natalie's not seeing. But meanwhile, you're with her sloppy leftovers. And are you the prize or is Josh the prize? Because you're acting like Josh is the prize and he's not. On the flip side, Natalie goes against any woman that even tries to stand up for her. She flips the script every time, and that's her own insecurities, and I'm not okay with that either. So here we are.
You're right.
Jen goes on to say that Natalie deserves what Natalie deserves. And then they pan the camera to Natalie's face, and my comment says she looks wildly sad. But she doesn't look sad, in my opinion, because she lost Josh. I think that she looks sad because she feels like Josh left her for someone, in her opinion, that looks better than her. I think that her insecurity about being like older, and that's the other thing. She's been 38 for like 5 years. So I want to say late 30s, but what? What? So she wants, the husband, the kids, the picket fence, all this stuff. So that sadness is coming from all of that. But I encourage you, Natalie, to work on yourself. I think that the things that you want you, but you have to work on yourself. And part of that is building your community. And you can't build your community of women when you're mean to women, because no one's going to want to be around you and no one's going to want to support you. So I encourage, and I've said this a million times, to actually go to real therapy. And anyone that's watching the show, I want you to know that this is not real therapy. And if you feel intimidated or if you feel like there's a stigma, there's not. Go and sort yourself out. Natalie goes on, because she's having a fight with Julia, she goes on to say that she's normal, she's not crazy. But my note says, she might think she's normal, but she's definitely a mean girl. The part that I thought was really funny, and Abby, I want to know what your opinions of this was the 90-day last resort behind the sheets, I think it's called, where they're all not imitating themselves, imitating each other. Who did you think had the best imitation?
Jasmine's. You did Natalie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was Brandon with Florian. I was shocked.
Oh, yes.
I was like, little square Brandon has a little flavor in him. What? If you guys are in the live chat, let us know who you thought was the best imitation. There were so many of them. Brandon and Florian, Sophie and Natalie. Julia and Gino, Jasmine and Natalie. There were so many of them. Let us know who you thought did the best imitation of the other cast member. Then we moved on to Rob, Sophie, and Kay. I was not a fan of Kay in the episodes, but during this tell-all part 4, I did think she brought some valid points. Mm-hmm. So she said that, Sophie's never been to therapy, so she was encouraged that they were going to go to this retreat because Sophie needed to take accountability of her actions. And I agreed with that. Mm-hmm. Kay went on to say that she felt that Rob and Sophie did well at the resort, but she didn't want to see them make it because both of them are immature. Both of them don't know how to wipe the slate clean, and you can't hold on to old stuff and move forward. Again, I agreed with that, right? And we talked about, and I'll say my example specifically, I can't be with someone that's cheated on me. We have to go our separate ways. I change into someone that I know I'm not, and the trust is not there. And I'm just not built that way to move forward. Other people can do it. I can't do it. But I do think that if you do it, then you have to let that past go and move forward. Abby, what are your thoughts about that? And what would you do?
I absolutely agree. I think that specifically with Sophie and Rob, what they needed to do, and none of the therapists encouraged them to do, was to figure out what their timeline was. Because there were always allegations of, we were together during that time, we were not together during that time, you cheated here, you cheated there. If it's really important for you to be able to put a finger on what was cheating and what was not so you can move forward, then you just sit down and make a timeline. If it's not important to establish what was cheating and what was not, then just say, okay, we're not talking about anything that happened before this date.
Yeah.
And nobody helped them that we saw with doing that. And you're completely right. If you're going to move forward and have the relationship, then you have to do it. The one time I got back together with an ex who did cheat on me, I had to be able to say, okay, there are some questions that I might ask you, and the answers are going to make me insecure. The answers are going to make me feel one kind of way or the other. So he would ask me, I asked a question, and he would ask me, are you ready for the answer? Are you ready for the answer?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give you an honest answer. And if you can't do that, I really don't think that you have a chance at making it over that kind of like infidelity.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that Rob was holding strong to, that he had some animosity towards Kay about, was she said that she would make a better husband than Rob. And then also this whole like F-boy situation that she threw out there, right? And one of the things that I was like, again, missed opportunity, because this was crazy, y'all. This was crazy. So she says, okay, so Rob says, you have bad energy, and it wasn't your place to be in my marriage like you were. And she's like, well, I don't like how you speak to Sophie, and goes on to say that she tries to out him, is basically what I'm trying to say. And Rob freaks out. Josh freaks out. And then she says, well, it's typical that not only the guys would stick up for Rob, but Josh would stick up for you because you two are, quote, freak buddies. How do we not?
Sean, where are you? There were several times that Sean could have intervened here and gave us a much more thorough understanding of what was going on. So first of all, Kay comes out and she says some very good things because she's not placing blame all on Rob. I feel like she was coming out and saying some very neutral things. So when she was immediately met with aggression from Rob, Sean, why don't you say, hey, is there anything that Kay has said today that you do agree with? Because she came out very neutral. Where are you, Sean? Where are you on that? And then when she said, I would make a better husband than Rob, I feel like we were led to believe that that was said in the way of like they maybe had a relationship. Sophie and Kate had a relationship, but I don't think that's the way it said. I think it was, I've said to my friends before, I would be a better husband than your husband. Like, so I don't think it was said in a way that had anything to do with sexuality, but we got no follow-up question about that either.
All of that. Listen, I need to know, because one of the things that I wrote down that I didn't mention earlier was that what I didn't notice, if you guys noticed it, I mean, it could be something little, but we got to pick up on all the things, right? Because it's all the things. I'm watching all this true crime, you guys, and let me tell you, like, you know how I say I miss my calling to be a therapist? I also could have been a detective because I solve all the crimes before the episodes are over. That being said, I just realized in episode 4 that Rob and Josh had matching velvet jackets on. Did you notice that?
I didn't even notice that.
Yes, a purple velvet and a green velvet matching, same jackets. Says a lot, okay? Because, you know, yes, you're matching with your besties, but you don't see guys doing that very often.
Mm-mm.
Also, the other thing that stood out to me is that backstage, right? Josh kept saying to Rob, okay, so don't focus on the guy. I don't know what I can say here. Worker that.
Yes, S worker.
Yes, don't focus on that. Don't focus. He said it multiple times.
Several times. I think so. Just focus on your emotions. Focus on how you feel, not the S worker allegations. What are you saying, Josh?
So, Abby, why would I say that to you? Why would I say, hey, Abby, just focus on your emotions. Focus on your emotions. Don't focus on the other stuff. Unless there was something else to focus on.
Right.
I know something being close to you that no one knows. So I'm saying divert your attention away from that and just focus on your emotions.
It's really weird. It's really suspect. Also, am I misremembering something? Or did he already tell us that, yes, back in the day, he got paid to take some risque photos?
I don't remember that. Is that true?
I don't know. I'm going to go back and look, because I was like, didn't he already tell us that he engaged in some of this kind of stuff? But he said that he did it just for money. He wasn't really into it.
Well, on social media, there are pictures that he's done some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if on social media that what was confirmed, but the pictures are out there. I don't know if he confirmed it personally.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I know for sure.
Well, he definitely.
What I do know is that. So then, Sophie says, if we want to talk about why I really left you, you're paid to eggplant.
Right.
Eggplant.
Right. Which
$500.
And then I need to remind you guys of something. This thing I remember for sure. Okay. There was another tell-all at the end of their first season where Sophie said that she felt insecure about the type of women that Rob was looking at, because those women did not match his, like they didn't match her physique. And when she was asked what kind of women was it, she said that they were very muscular women. And he kept saying, don't do that. You're making it seem like I'm into something I'm not into. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. I'm not really into that.
I mean, again, I feel like there are a lot of missed opportunities with, I still have questions, right? And if I have questions, that means this is not a true tell-all. And it's unfortunate, in my opinion, that we didn't go down this route. Like, if we're going to be messy and have 5 hours, let's be messy. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be messy with it and let's come out with it. And let's confront the guys as much as we've been confronting the women. And that's not what happened. So you're telling me that not only Kay came out and said, hey, that's your freak buddy, but also, too, literally your wife is saying, let's talk about the real reason I left you. And you were paid minimal dollars to eat eggplant. How do we not have a follow-up question to that? It's
right.
because I'm stuck. $500. And then here's the thing, you guys. In episode 5, backstage, when the thing was over and he was confronting Sophie, he again didn't deny it. He said it wasn't $500. It was $5,000.
It was $500, or else you wouldn't have had a toilet outside of your house, Rob.
5,000. So you knew what she was talking about. Why are we not getting closure on this? Because it sounds like, that being said, they've decided they're going to move their separate ways, obviously. Moving on to Jasmine and Gino. Gino says 10 days after therapy, Jasmine spent the night away. He didn't know where she was, but he was certain she was with Matt. Jasmine says these are all lies. We agreed on an open marriage. He knew exactly where I was. There were clear rules, and here were the rules. The rules were she was allowed to see Matt 2 times a week, 2 hours a day. She had to share her location, and no emotional connection was allowed, and they had to use protection. Abby, go ahead and take this away. Do you think that this was ever going to work?
I'm going to say cheeseburgers to that. No, it was never going to work. It was always bound to fail. I feel like I already said that, because you can't go into an open relationship with a broken relationship. And still, even to this day, even in this part 4, part 5, nobody asked Gino, why weren't you able to be intimate with your wife? Nobody asked. So if you're not willing to get to the bottom of that issue, then this was obviously not going to work. Even if she didn't get pregnant, it was not going to work, because not only is she receiving sexual gratification from Matt, but he was also an emotional interest. He was comforting her. He was cradling her. He was snuggling her. Those are connecting activities.
That, and again, everything that Abby just said, but also, how are we not talking about the fact that he said in episode 5 that even after they broke up, he's not been intimate with anyone? Can we dive into his sexual dysfunction? Or are we never going to talk about it? And guess what? We're never going to talk about it, because that was the last part of the tell-all. There are so many questions and missed opportunities. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's unfortunate, because then, as human nature, we're going to fill in the blanks, right, with the information we have. And it could be wrong, but we could have talked about it because we had the platform to talk about it. It
also leaves Gino feeling like this is somebody else's fault, because he's like, well, I was trying to agree to something that would improve our marriage, but he's not understanding. No, there was still work that was left for you to do. There were things that you needed to work on alone as an individual before you be able to have a successful romantic relationship with anybody.
That part. So Matt shows up. They didn't know if he was going to be live or via, on camera video. I thought he should have been there. Clearly he was not doing anything, because he showed up on video, right? But I feel like he should have been there. I'm not sure why he wasn't. I would have loved to address, like, why were you not able to come to the tell-all? Again, a question that was not answered. But they introduce him. It's a bunch of silence. He shows up on the screen. Sean says, congrats on your future baby. And he explains how he was scared when he found out that Jasmine was pregnant, because he's been running from marriage and kids his whole life. Things just happen, and now I guess he's ready to be a dad. To me, Abby, those were all red flags.
All red flags. And when he said things just happened, here's another missed opportunity, because Sean had asked earlier about whether or not Jasmine followed the rules to use protection. She said yes. he says things just happen and nobody asked, okay, like if you guys truly don't believe that they were using protection, then why aren't you following up on that question? I personally don't care about the question, but if it's important to you, then how come we're not following up on it? Matt and Jasmine are in one of those situations where just because the two of you don't believe in abortion, you're going to have a baby in this weird situation. It's weird.
Super weird, because what he signed up to be was a third, right? He signed up to have, you know, intimacy twice a week for 2 hours a day.
Right.
He didn't sign up to have a wife and kid,
Right.
which goes into your area of expertise. And one of the things I want to say, you guys, is that I'm so happy you guys are here, but I also know that we are leaders in this 90-day industry. And I know specifically people take our tea, our news, our information, our knowledge, and create stories out of it without credit. That being said, we've talked about how, and specifically Abby as an immigration attorney has let you all know that this is a specific strategy, whether realized or not realized by Jasmine, that she's doing. So we told you way in the beginning that if Natalie stays married to Gino technically, if she has this baby, which she has, and she's still married, you guys, Gino is not only going to be considered the father legally, he has financial obligations.
Mm-hmm.
I read on a major outlet just recently, like earlier this week, talking about how Jasmine has this baby, but she's still married. What are the implications? Abby, I'm going to let you guys remind everyone what you told us months ago.
Yeah, months ago, I said that if Gino did not get divorced before the baby was born, then he's going to be what they call the putative father, the father who's listed on the birth certificates that has legal obligations with regards to child support and so on. Now, they're in the state of Michigan, which I'm not familiar with. They're in Michigan, right?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with how, this would play out because it's different from state to state. But in general, what would happen is that if they get divorced after the baby is born, the baby born into the marriage is listed in custody agreement, in child support agreement, and so on. If she wants to waive that, she can, but if she wants to pursue it, she also can, and then he would have to defend against it. In Georgia, it wouldn't matter.
Meaning what?
In Georgia, if I had a child and I knew that child was not my husband's child and it was born into the marriage, I could still get child support from that person. Yeah, and they could sue me in a different civil action to try to recover it. But she's in Florida now, so the Thousand Pieces says they married in Michigan, but she's in Florida now. If he's still in Michigan, he could still divorce her in Michigan using Michigan law.
Okay, so, but at the end of the day, where generally does the financial...
It lies with Gino. It lies with Gino.
And how long does it lie with Gino? Let's say they get divorced. Is he still financially liable?
No, once you're on the hook for child support, you're on the hook to either 18 or 21. It's usually 18 unless the child goes to college, in which case it's 21.
So then how could this not have been a strategy, Abby? Like, how could it not have been? Because now the baby's here. We all know the baby's here. We all know that she's still married. So she can now divorce Gino, be with Matt, and collect this child support for the rest of her life.
Well, there's a few reasons why I don't think that it was like on purpose to try and force Gino to be financially responsible. One, she doesn't, as far as we know, she hasn't had a job since she arrived in the United States. So she wouldn't have the money to initiate a divorce proceeding against Gino. He'd have to be the one to do it. So if he's not doing it, what can we do? And number two, we've heard from both of them that they didn't violate the rules of the open marriage, that they were using protection, so they didn't get pregnant on purpose. Now, that might be naive of me to say, but I don't know, because I know how difficult it is to have a kid and raise a kid, and because she's talked about how difficult it's been raising her kids that have special needs, I just don't think somebody would have a kid on purpose. In this
Let
kind of
us know your
situation.
thoughts in the live comments. And if you're watching the replay, let me know. I'll tell you this, as I said at the top of the show, I've been watching all the true crimes. And I have realized that there are women that are diabolical like that. They plan and pre-plan, and there are some women in the United States that continue to have babies so they don't have to work. And the more babies you have, the more like government support you get. There are women that have told men that they were pregnant and they're not pregnant. And like, don't get me, I'm not bashing women because listen, statistically speaking, if you marry, a man is going to kill you as a woman, period. That's it. Those are the statistics. Men are crazy violent, all that stuff. All I'm saying is that there are people out there, men and women, that are diabolical, and they think of crazy things that you would never think is possible. I'm not saying that's Jasmine, but I just think it's interesting that she, like she said and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but when she's like, when she realized her marriage was over, she should have, quote, had the strength to move back to Panama. I mean, you have 2 kids there, so like, but she did it instead. She went to the gym, found Matt, thought about an open marriage, but it could only be to Matt. And she already was, and she said in this episode that she was already like emotionally tied to him, and she had to be that way in order to be intimate with him. And then all of a sudden, you guys are having a baby. She doesn't know if she loves him. She literally said this in this episode. She cares about him, but doesn't know what love is anymore, etc., etc. I don't know, Abby. Sounds to me like subconsciously she knew what she was doing.
Really?
Yeah.
Because she's not even saying like, oh, I love Matt so much now and we're looking forward to a future together. There's still limbo.
Yeah, but again, to me, that's strategy, right? Because if you say, I love Matt and I'm going to be with Matt, then you're going to be with Matt. But if you say, I care about him, I don't know what love is, I do have an emotional attachment to him, it gives you the opportunity to walk away. And now you have a baby. And some people will say you have an anchor baby. And then also, too, I'm just saying, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Also, too, you have the financial support from your husband that you haven't divorced yet, who's on the hook for 18 to 21 years. So where does she go wrong here?
Where does she go wrong?
Where does she not benefit in this situation? She has the hot boyfriend who doesn't have to necessarily take care of her financially because she's got her husband to do that. She can have all the intimacy she wants and the support she wants, the emotional attachment she wants, but she could also walk away when she wants to, because guess what? She still has the stability of the person that is on the hook, which is her husband, to take care of her child.
Another question that we don't know the answer to is, where is she living right now?
Well, apparently, isn't 1,000 Pieces saying that she's in Florida?
But who's financing her life in Florida? Like, where is she living? Who's paying for it? Because that question would answer to me, what is she potentially losing? Because let's say Gino was paying, ordered to pay child support of $1,000 a month. That's not going to pay all of her expenses anywhere. As far as I know, he's not like, he had some good financial investments, but he wasn't like extremely in extreme wealth where it's like she's going to get $30,000 a month in child support and be able to cover all of her bills. But anyway, I don't think that a child, this is just me. Like, some people will have a kid no matter what the circumstances are because, they want a baby, right? I don't think that a kid is worth the pain and suffering, the harm that it causes on your body, the millions of dollars you're going to have to put into them just for the purpose of trapping somebody. It's just, that's a really hard, that is, unless you're going to have a bunch of help around the house, you being the one that has to wake up, you being the one who has bleeding nipples because you're trying to breastfeed and you have thrush. I don't have good memories of this time, y'all. I just don't think it's worth it.
I mean, again, I want to throw in, you know, I know a lot of people. I won't say no. I know some girls, I know some females in Los Angeles who only dated ball players, sports guys, and their whole goal was to have that person's baby. And I can tell you on more than one hand, women that have done that because of the financial stability that it provided. So when you say, like, what is your goal in life? And their goal was to be an NBA baby mama. That's a real thing.
I mean, that makes more sense with somebody who's a millionaire. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't get picked to do it, but I wouldn't do it because it is just really hard on your body. But I would understand someone saying that if they're looking at like the girl who had the baby with Tristan not too long ago. Tristan, what's his name? Like, he's never going to see that child. He's already said he doesn't want anything to do with that child, but he's been ordered to pay, I think it was exactly $30,000 per month.
That, and look at like, what's his name? It's at the tip of my tongue. He has like 12 babies and like 8 baby mamas.
Future.
Who?
Future? Future. Sierra's. He had a baby.
No, I mean, Future is one of them. No, it's Nick Cannon.
Oh.
Right? Those women knew exactly what they were signing up for.
Oh, they knew for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially, let's go number 4 and beyond. Well, like, maybe we can give a pass for the first 3, but like number 4 and beyond.
The only pass I give is 1 and 2 with Mariah Carey. Everything else it's a wrap.
Yeah, exactly. Tristan that was with Khloe Kardashian. Yeah.
So we're back to like they're saying things just happened. All the guys ended up standing up for Gino, which I thought was interesting because, again, the guys were not being questioned at all. Gino really resorts to immaturity, calls Matt ugly, calls Matt a bunch of different names. Josh jumps in as well, which I thought was super ridiculous. He can't deal with this MF, he said. And my note was SMH. Because samesies. Game recognizes game. And that self-reflection you're not a fan of. Gino tells Matt to shut up. And then Brandon asked Gino, why did you agree to all of this? And that Sean should have asked that question. Right. And I know she did get into it a little bit after, but that's the whole thing. Why did you agree to this, Gino? And Gino talks about, especially because your relationship was broken, like April said. So does having an open relationship make it stronger? It doesn't, because you're saying you're having this open relationship, but it was never an open relationship. And if you go back to our lives, to the very beginning, April explained the whole thing, right? Because this whole polyamorous threesome, blah, blah. It's not something that I pay too much attention to, you guys, because it's too much for me. But April...
Don't self-correct. Just keep going.
Abby explained it away, and it made sense to me. As soon as she said, you can't add a third person into a broken relationship, especially when your relationship is broken and both people are not saying, hey, this is what I want to do to open up a relationship. You can't fix a brokenness with adding someone else to be like, hey, you're going to be the bridge and the gap that's going to make everything hunky-dory. That's not how polyamory, thruples, blah, 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 all the other words. That's not how it works.
Not at all.
Right? You have to be in a healthy, happy relationship. You both have to be willing to open your marriage up and both decide what's that's going to look like. You don't say, hey, guess what? You're not being intimate with me. You suck. We haven't been intimate in a year. So I've been to the gym. There's this hot guy that I totally think is hot.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only person I'm willing to open my relationship with. Is you have to say yes. And if you don't say yes, then we can't be together.
Right.
And then this fool says, oh, well, I don't want to do this, but I also don't want to be intimate with you. And you're being selfish and you need to be nice to me. And when you're nicer to me, then maybe I'll be intimate with you. Do you see like there's so many issues there that have not been addressed? And because they've not been addressed, then you're like, hey, I'm going to have a conversation. Yes, you can. Yes, we can open up the relationship. And yes, you can have intimacy with this guy that you already like, you've already picked out, that you're already emotionally attached to. But you can only do it 2 times a week for 2 hours a day. Stop it. Like, do you hear yourself?
It makes absolutely no sense. And he's still sitting there saying, you have to cut it off if you get too emotionally attached. Like, how does that come out of your mouth and it makes sense to you? That's none. Like, it's like, we're going to get a puppy. We're going to get a puppy. But the moment anybody's too attached to the puppy, we got to send him back to the pound.
That. So it was never going to work. Sean asked Matt what he thought the rules were, and he was like, basically, she was allowed to be with me 2 times a week. That's what he understood. And then Sean asked, well, what does Gino get out of this? Which I thought was the best question out of the whole tell-all. And Jasmine answered cheeseburgers. Which, you guys, really made sense to me. Because, you know, sometimes when there is dysfunction in your life and you don't deal with it. Oh, look at me. I'm like a real therapist. Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. Okay. Get in your bag.
Here we go. So sometimes when there's dysfunction in your life and you don't want to deal with the dysfunction, you supplement in other ways. And some people supplement with food. Some people supplement with alcohol. Some people supplement with substances. Whatever it is to distract you from dealing with the actual immediate issue. And so I'm not surprised that Jasmine said cheeseburgers and that Gino would have said, hey, in his own way, he thought he was taking back a little bit control by saying, after you spend your 2 hours with Matt, make Matt buy me a burger,
right,
and bring it home and I'll eat that burger.
Mm-hmm.
He was taking back a little bit of that power in his mind, in my opinion. Abby, thought?
That is an apt analysis. It was a way for him to try and regain control by being able to say, whatever it is that y'all been doing for the past 2 hours, you have to wrap it up by doing something that I tell you to do.
Facts. 1,000 Pieces says a good burger can be pricey. Listen, you are not wrong. I don't know what's going on in the world right now, but why are burgers like $14, $15? Like, what? Let me tell you something. I'm making burgers at the house because what's happening out there, I am over it. I am over it. It's too expensive outside, you guys. It's too expensive. April, it's too expensive. Let me just go back to Vancouver and call it a day. One of the things I also thought was interesting was how mad Rob was about Gino and Jasmine's situation. He really took it personally more than his own situation. And he's mad that Matt, quote, got my friend's wife pregnant, says he's a terrible guy. Matt's like, I don't care. Gino treated her bad. He was never intimate with her. He never was nice to her. And I was like, Rob, why do you care so much?
Well, so yeah, it's weird that Rob cares so much. It's been weird that he cared so much from the very first episode.
Yeah.
But in this situation, I think that Matt should have minded his own business.
What do you mean by that?
I think that Matt should have not made any kind of commentary to Gino about the nature of his relationship with Jasmine or how he treated Jasmine. I think it would have been fine for Matt to just toe the line of, this is the situation that we are in now. Jasmine is pregnant. I'm going to do my very best to take care of her, to take care of my baby. And I really don't want to be involved in their relationship that way. Whatever happens in their relationship, that is their business. That's not what my role is in this situation.
Fair. That's fair. But
that's how you be a good third, Matt.
You know what? I'm not even going to say what I was going to say because Abby's point is on point. Here's where it got awkward. So Rob, because he's in everyone's business, asks Matt, do you love Jasmine? And immediately Matt says, I love Jasmine. She's carrying my child, so I do. I thought,
that's not a very good I love you.
It's not. It's not. It really is not, you guys. Like, I want, again, you guys looking for my future husband. I wanted to be like, no, I love her. I love her. You know what I mean? Say it with some bass and some
from the mountaintops, screaming.
That part, not like, yeah, she's carrying my kid, so yeah, I guess.
I guess so. I guess I'm supposed to love her because that baby in there is mine.
Yeah,
that is the saddest. That is the saddest kind of I love you.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan, but it got worse because then Sean asked Jasmine, well, do you love Matt? Silence. Commercial break. Comes back, says she's figuring that out. She has an emotional attachment to him, doesn't know if she loves him, but definitely cares about him. She feels protected and well taken care of, but she still does love Gino. Doesn't have bad feelings for Gino, doesn't want to be with Gino, but still loves him. And I thought, as the cameraman panned to Matt had no expression, but then ended his segment by saying, but yeah, I really love you, Jasmine.
So here's what I took away from that whole thing. I felt like Jasmine was trying to be really honest and give a really honest answer because of all the hormones, perhaps she's not able to really truly sort her feelings right now. And she doesn't want to overcommit and say that I do love Matt, even though maybe she is feeling that way because these are not your hormones coursing through your body at this time. If I could tell you some of the things that I did while I was pregnant that made absolutely no sense, it was a wild time. Okay. It was a wild time. But I think that Matt probably recognized the error in making his I love you qualified. It was a qualified I love you because you're carrying my child. And he attempted to correct that before the segment ended. That's what I think that was.
That makes sense.
Because if he had given her an unqualified I love you to begin with, perhaps she wouldn't have had so much, let me go through this longer diatribe about how I'm feeling. Perhaps it would have been, the love that she does have for him. Maybe it would have come towards the front because I do think that she does love him. I do think that she loves him because she already was emotionally connected to him before she even went into this.
Agreed. You're right.
But it's not going to surface if you're saying you just love me because I'm carrying your child.
Yeah. Agreed.
I think it was smart for her not to overcommit on whether she loves him or not, because there are a lot of things happening to I have some text messages that I sent to my ex-husband while I was pregnant. I was mean. I was angry. I was emotional. I got mad because I asked him to get me some sour cream potato chips, and he came back with sour cream potato chips, and I really wanted barbecue chips, and he should have known that.
What? You said you wanted sour cream, and he brought sour cream, but you really wanted barbecue?
He brought sour cream, and I did not understand why he would only bring me one type of chip back, even though it's the chip that I asked for, because I really wanted barbecue. This is a real argument that I had with a grown man as a grown person.
That's awesome.
So I'm just saying, a lot of things are happening when you're pregnant.
It's awesome. They finally bring the therapists out, James, Heidi, and Reba, and y'all, I was just so underwhelmed. Like, this whole season was about therapy and couples. We didn't dive into really anything. We surfaced it all, and I was just very disappointed.
Yes, this was disappointing. I don't really understand how they're saying they feel like it's a success. The one lady said that she felt like it was a success because some of them moved in the direction of knowing like what they want. When I think of therapy, when I went to therapy, I wanted to know more about why I think the way I think, why I do the things that I do, and how can I make changes to have better relationships with myself and with other people. That's what I wanted out of therapy. Okay. Do I see this happening for the people who were on this show? No.
So therapy to me means that you address your issues and you are given the tools to continue to work on those issues for the rest of your life until you're past those issues. And that is definitely not what happened here. We start off with Gino has not been intimate since forever, even going through therapy in the resort, he still is not intimate. So to me, you have not addressed his issues, whether it's sexual dysfunction, whether it's something else, that was not addressed. So I don't know how we can say that this was all a success. Jasmine regrets opening her marriage, feels like she should have gone back to Panama because she was not treated right. And in her opinion, therapy can't fix everything. Her marriage was just done. Again, how do we say that was a success? Because she's the one that rushed to open the marriage. But we all knew she wasn't really opening the marriage. She wanted to have a legitimate excuse to be with someone that she was attracted to, someone that she met at the gym that she wanted to pursue. But she also didn't want to lose the security of being in America with her American husband, with that green card, because she had gone through so much to get to America.
Mm-hmm.
Abby, what are your thoughts on that before I move on?
So I just want to say something really quickly. If you're in the situation and you're going to leave the United States and abandon a pending residency application, you need to let USCIS know before you do that so that you don't face any consequences if later on you want to apply for a visitor's visa or you want to do another K-1 visa later on. You can't leave without notifying them. Otherwise, you're abandoning the application without providing a reason to do so. And they're going to send you a referral to go to immigration court. You're not going to appear because you're not even going to know that it was sent. And then you're going to be listed as being deported from the United States. So make sure that you follow proper legal procedure before you repatriate to your home country. You're welcome to do it, but just make sure you do it the right way so as not to jeopardize your chance to come to the U.S. in the future. If you want to come to the U.S. in the future, maybe you don't.
Get that wisdom, y'all.
Yeah.
Get that wisdom.
But I do think that what she's saying about having the courage or having the bravery, I don't remember exactly how she phrased it, to leave the relationship is what a lot of people need to do. Before you cheat, before you mistreat your partner, you need to leave. More people need to leave first. Stop hurting other people.
Yeah, there's no reason to cheat, you guys. There really isn't. I mean, she called it bravery. I mean, just leave. Because to me, it's not bravery. You're just being selfish. If you don't want to be with someone, just not be with them and tell them you don't want to be with them. Now, I'm saying this in a very general term. I do know, like in DV situations, that's not going to be the case, right? It's not going to be that easy. That's what I'm going to leave it at that. I understand that every situation is different, but if you feel like you're going to cheat, just don't cheat. Just leave the situation and go be happy somewhere else so that you don't break hearts, especially when there are children involved and families involved and all of that stuff. Moving on with James, Heidi, and Reba. she said, Reba says, what she sees with the couples, a lot of them wanted to do what was right. But what is right for every couple is different. And it's easy to point the finger after the fact. And then Heidi talks about how growth is success. And we really talked about that, because what growth? If we're looking at all the couples, because Gino and Jasmine, the therapists were surprised that they didn't last and that Jasmine is pregnant. But again, this is when social media especially wanted to attack Reba. But Reba's like, you know what? They went against my professional and personal advice. Jasmine and Gino rushed into an open marriage without knowing all of the circumstances that they were in. And I have to support her in that, because Jasmine was set on being with Matt. Period. Full stop. End of story. How do you blame Reba for that? Reba said, I'm in a successful throuple. But didn't give any more parameters about that. And Jasmine took that and ran with it. That's why I think Jasmine stood up for her so much, because Jasmine knew exactly what she was wanting to do, and she did it. But Reba goes on to say, you can't slap a Band-Aid on a broken marriage, which is what April told you guys in episode 2. It won't work. And then Gino had the audacity to say that Reba never told him that. And then Florian jumps in, and here's where I was like getting pissed off at Florian, says that Reba ruined their marriage. No, Reba didn't ruin their marriage. Just because you don't believe in therapy, don't blame the therapist.
Right.
The marriage is broken, and that's why they went to the resort. And because they decided to open their marriage against professional and personal advice, because if you remember, Jasmine was already emotionally having an affair with Matt. She now wanted to have a physical affair. When she was fighting with Gino, she called Matt. When she was unhappy with Gino, she called Matt. When she wanted to tell her girls about her hot, sexy boyfriend, she called Matt.
He'd already spoke to Matt about having an open relationship before it was even a conversation with Gino that she wanted
her
him
husband.
To be the So, yeah, all of that was wrong. But Florian really caught me off guard here, because he was one of the only people from the last resort, like during the time of the show, that was asking Gino, why aren't you having sex with your wife? What's the problem? So how do you not remember that they arrived broken, Florian?
And that you were trying to tell him how to fix his marriage. Did you forget that part?
Yeah, he completely seems to have forgot that part. And now he's wanting to direct all of his ire to the therapist, which is it's really weird.
Super weird. They move on to Josh and Natalie. James talks about how Natalie has to learn boundaries, and he hopes in the future that she gets the tools to not only ground herself, but to emotionally regulate herself. And I 100% agree, because Natalie is a mean girl. Natalie lashes out at women that she feels threatened by. Natalie has expectations in relationships where she's not maybe in the real relationship, and people, especially men, are taking advantage of that. And she's a beautiful woman. She doesn't realize that she's beautiful, or maybe she does, but she's not secure when she's in a relationship. And that is her biggest issue, because through all those insecurities, she has issues with whatever her partner is doing. And we saw a lot of that. Josh is terrible, don't get me wrong, but we also saw her lash out on him for things that she probably took above and beyond.
Exactly. Yeah. Like just checking into the hotel. Oh, he's been here before. Who were you with? Like that was her already overreacting.
Yeah. One of the things that also was disappointing to me was that when the therapists were telling her that, and Jane specifically, Natalie still thought that her and Josh loved each other. And literally my note says LOL. We still loved each other, but it just didn't work out. I'm emotional. He's calm. And I was like, is
He
that
never
what you,
loved you, babe.
yeah, is that what you're getting out of this? Because he literally says, after you said we loved each other, we need to just cut it off. So you're not absorbing anything that the therapists have said to you. You're not taking the fact that you need to ground yourself emotionally and regulate that. You're just going to go with the delusion that, hey, we loved each other. It didn't work out because I'm emotional and he's calm. Again, missed opportunity. Last and certainly not least, they talk about Florian and Stacy. Heidi says, Florian never believed in therapy. And this is when things went off the rails. And I was like, Florian, who are you? You've been my favorite this whole season.
Do you think he misunderstood what they were saying?
No, he didn't. So Heidi says that Florian and Stacy fall into a parent-child role. It's not an equal balance, and Florian hasn't stepped up to be the man that he needs to be. Florian freaks out and says, are you saying that that's my mom? Is that my mom? Is that my mom? And then Heidi's like, I'm mom. Is that my mom? I'm mom. Is that my mom? Are you saying that she's my mom? And Heidi stuck to what her thought was, which was, I'm mom. He gets super mad. Then she twists it even further and says, you also have anger issues. I don't have anger issues. I don't. And he freaks out. He gets up. He needs a smoke. He walks out and doesn't come back. And what were your thoughts on all of that before I move on?
I was like, wow, look at Florian just throwing all of the goodwill that he's earned down the drain for no apparent reason. I was just hoping that maybe there was some miscommunication, some misunderstanding that he was operating under, because he didn't say anything bad.
Well, I think of it as his old school Albanian way of thinking, and he's probably thinking the worst of it, right? Very secular, literal. You think I'm being gross by being with someone who's a surrogate mom, right? That's how I think he interpreted it. But it was crazy to see, y'all. It was crazy to see how mad he got and outraged, and he was gone.
Right. Without any follow-up questions. He's saying, teach Stacy how to communicate, but you need to learn how to ask questions and listen too. And, I think one of the best things I learned from therapy is that if you are going to have any successful relationships, you have to assume the best of your partner first. Mm-hmm. Always assume the best of your partner. And if there is something that you don't understand, you think that they're doing something that's harming you, or you don't like what they said, ask questions about it first to be sure that you're understanding the situation correctly. Assume 100%. The best of them and ask questions first.
100%.
Once you start assuming the worst of your partner, that is I think you're on the way out. The relationship is on the way to being over.
What she said, y'all. Then that's it, y'all. That's how the last part 5 of the tell-all wrapped. We went behind the scenes. Not a lot going on. It was just BS. Reba and Jasmine were talking backstage. Jasmine's crying, talking about her open relationship. Yada, yada, yada. Stacy's mad at Florian, said he needs to start respecting women and therapists. Maybe he needs to go to Albania for a bit. Maybe she'll do her own thing for a little while and figure that out. Rumor has it that they've split. I haven't posted it yet, but apparently there's a picture that I do have as well of Florian and his new girlfriend, but it's just rumor as of right now, so I haven't posted it.
Oh, I was saying hot tea.
Hot tea for sure. Anytime I post about a rumor, you guys, I always say this is the rumor, but I hate posting rumors. I've probably posted 5 in all the years that I've been doing 90 Day Fiance, because I hate rumors. As a journalist, I like facts. So that's why I haven't posted yet, but I might, just to wrap up the show. Anything else you want to say, Abby? And are we doing TikTok today?
You guys, I am so exhausted. I'm not like really in this time zone yet. Let's do it on Sunday.
Ooh, she spilled the tea. So no TikTok today, but you guys were catching up. So we've wrapped finally 90 Day Fiancé, The Last Resort, all through it. If you haven't watched from the very beginning, make sure to follow it and watch it from A to Z. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are going to now jump right back into 90 Day Fiancé, the original show with Mina and Mark and all the good stuff. And we're going to do a show on Sunday.
Yes.
We'll see you then.
Bye-bye. Ta-ta.
Like and subscribe, you guys. Like and subscribe. Like and tell a friend. Tell a friend. Yes. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.